Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It is me again, your girl Thlologelo Promise Rampa, and this is Relocate to Australia with Promise. As you guys already know by now, it is your #1 DIY relocation platform, looking for information on how you can relocate to Australia or anywhere else in this world and what to expect when you get here. This is the channel to be at, okay? So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and do the things that people do when they're here on this part of town. So yes guys, don't forget to subscribe, okay? We are on our way to 2,000 subscribers. I am so excited about that. I cannot wait to be on the other side and be like, we made it. We need to celebrate every little thing. Like, even if it's like not as big as some people might think it is, but we need to celebrate because it is a big achievement for me, somebody that has started on this platform. So I'm quite proud of myself. And thank you so much to you guys. This would have not been possible if it was not for you guys. Anyways, guys, let's get to today's business. So today we're going to be talking about adjusting to the cost of living in Australia as an immigrant. As you guys know, I'm from South Africa. It is a third world country. Is it still a third world country? Yes, I hope so. Still a third world country. And I moved to a first world country. Where's the second world country? Anyway, yes, so I'm now in a first world country. I had to do a lot of adjusting, especially in my brain, to start converting the rand to the dollar every time I need to buy something, okay? So what I'm basically trying to do now, I'm trying to do the finance section of things. I've been saying I'm going to do this. So yes, I want to do the finance section because I do get a lot of people who ask me. I always find it funny when people say this. I do get a lot of people who ask me about the cost of living in Australia, rentals and all of that, and I do understand where they're coming from. Linda, I experienced the same thing when I left South Africa coming to Australia. I did not know what to expect. I knew things were going to be expensive because what I did during our relocation journey, and of which has helped me now, especially in my channel, because I'm so learned in this thing, and that's why I'm able to share it with you guys. We, as I've explained to you guys, we did this process for 2 years. So there are so many places where we could have gone in Australia. It's a long story. Maybe hopefully one day when I get into it, maybe if I have like story time and whatever, I'll be able to explain it to you guys. But what happened was, let's say for example, my husband does an interview in Victoria or I do an interview in Northern Territory. I would then go onto the internet and I would start looking at rentals and start looking at, what is available there. And I was so astonished and shocked by how much was expected for rental and all of that. So it literally freaked me out. So what I'm trying to do is to get you guys to have projections as to this is what I should expect when I go to Australia or immigrate, especially coming from a third world country and there's that imbalance here, the rand to the dollar. Literally adjusting to the reality of things when you get to a first world country and you realize that, yay, the money that we have in South Africa. Hey. So what I'm going to be doing is having discussions about what you should expect to pay. So obviously, as I've mentioned to you guys in my other videos, especially the ones where I talk a bit more about money and financing and different types of visas, I've not yet gone into the permanent residency visa. But after this one, it's something that I will be doing so that you guys can get to compare and see the difference between a temporary visa, sponsored visa, and a permanent residency visa, and why it's important to try and get a permanent residency visa. It's a long process. That's why I want to leave it to the end because it's going to be long. It's going to be very long. It's going to be a very long discussion. So what I'm trying to do is for those who manage to get visas, for them to at least have a reference of, okay, fine, now I've gotten this visa and what does this mean for me? Because obviously, as I've explained to you guys in my other previous videos, your way of living and your way of adapting and settling into this country really does depend on the kind of visa that you're going to be getting. If you're going to be on a temporary visa that is sponsored and it's not like a permanent residency visa, there are some benefits you don't get. For example, childcare and all of that. There's different legislation and all of that involved. Another thing, guys, let me do a disclaimer. I am not an immigration agent. Yes, I forgot to do that. So yes, I'm not an immigration agent. I'm just sharing information from my own experience. Yep, that's done. So yes, there are some legislations and all of that do not allow you to get benefits that people that have permanent residency visas get. So when you're on a permanent residency visa, it's almost like you're a citizen but you don't vote. Yes, that's how I've resolved it for myself. For me, it is very important for you guys to know which visa you're getting because it really will determine how you settle in this country, especially when you're looking at your finances. So you have to be very informed and know what you're getting yourself into, as I always say, especially when you're looking at especially when you're looking at how you are going to be spending your money, where your money is going to be coming from, and how your money is going to be going out. I wish I had the opportunity to have this discussion with somebody, to be mentally prepared before I came into Australia, because trust me, it was such a shocker. Literally every time when I would go buy something, I'm like, lento. Because I would be converting to the rand. I'm like, chill, this is expensive. But there are some things where I'm like, okay, if it was in South Africa, I'd convert. I'm like, this is actually very cheap. So from here onwards, we're going to be talking jobs. But before, jobs is going to be like the final last thing that I talk about, because I don't want us to focus a lot more on the salaries and what to expect to be paid and all of that. I want to cut down the costs and what this means for you, especially regarding the visa that you're going to be having, what benefits will you be getting, what benefits will you not be getting. And at the end, we're going to have kind of a summary to say, okay, fine, as a family of this, or if you are alone, this is how much you should expect your expenses to be. That's if we have me. I'm a cheapskate, guys, as I always say. I'm a cheapskate, so it will be coming from a cheapskate point of view. But if you're somebody that likes, the finer things of life, soft life, and don't what, you will just add the cost to whatever, and then you'll be fine. I'll also share with you guys how I do my finances here in my house. I'll probably not share the amounts, but just a bit of a structure on how I manage things for myself and my family. So we'll see the expected expenses. Yes, whatever that your projections of how much you're going to be needing to survive in Australia. So then when you get a job and they offer you however much, this salary I will not be able to save, or this salary will be good enough, So at the end of this finance series, we will then look at jobs to say, okay, fine, if you have a job like this and you're being paid like this is how much you should expect to pay for tax, and then your take home could be this, and then take it from there. So at least you guys will have a clearer picture of what to expect expense-wise, and for you to make an informed decision whether relocating will be financially good for you. Would it be really greener pastures, or this is not something that you can do? So at least then you will see it to see, okay, fine. Because it's very easy to say to people, yeah, we get in dollars, it's very nice to get Australian dollars, but not see, okay, how am I going to be spending these dollars for me to actually feel like I'm getting money and I'm getting something out of my life. So we'll have a discussion about rentals, groceries, childcare, so that you guys can see how much to expect. Living in a regional area, living in the city, comparing that as well, because that's very important, so that okay, fine, I know, should I come alone and I don't have all these expenses, I don't have to worry. Or if I come with a family, I've got a wife, I've got a husband, I've got children, 5, 3, 2, 1 children, 2, 3, you know what I mean. So and then you get to see, okay, fine, this is how much I should expect to pay. So will it be enough? Will I be able to, even though I'm on a temporary visa or a permanent residency visa? So this is very, 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 very important. The first thing that you guys need to do is to understand the value of your currency against the Australian dollar. In South Africa, if you have 100,000 in your pocket, yeah, you can survive. You'll be fine, because the cost of living there is relatively, you can survive with 100,000. When you come to Australia, 100,000 is $10,000, depending on trading, of course, and the stock market and all of that, and how strong the rand will be that day, or how weak the dollar will be. I always round it up to $1 is 10 rands. That's just me. I resolve it like that in my head. Even if that day it's 12 rands to the dollar or 9 rands to the dollar, I'm always like, it's 10, it's fine. When you've got 100,000 in South Africa, when you come to Australia, it is just $10,000, and it will not get you that far. It literally dries up so quick. By the time you open your eyes, papara is gone. I always emphasize on you guys, first securing a job, because you might be coming from South Africa with 50,000 rands and you're like, I'm gonna make it when I get there. But then you get here and things don't turn out the way you expected, and you realize that you did not do your research that well, and you did not know what you were getting yourself into. Especially people like me who are from the village and have not been abroad. This was my first time ever being outside of South Africa, ever being outside of my home. So I did not know what to expect. For people who've been privileged enough to travel and visit Australia or any other first world country, this is something that they would have already resolved in their head. They would have already known that. But for people that have never been out of their own countries, especially people that have never been able to afford to explore other countries, for them it is a total shocker. For us, it is a total shocker, okay? And this is very important, especially when you're applying for a permanent residency visa, which is a discussion I will go into. But what Australia and what most countries do, they want to know that you'll be able to support yourself if they give you a permanent residency visa. That's why they've got that element of wanting you to prove how much you've got. Usually it's not about you showing them, okay, in my bank I've got 50,000 or 100,000. It's just your whatever assets that you've got, and you can show them, if I sell this and if I do this and do that, I can gather however much, and this is what I'll be using. But that's more of like the permanent residency stuff. When you are doing a temporary sponsored visa, you don't really need to prove that you can afford the cost of living when you get to Australia, because they know obviously you're coming with a temporary visa, you're coming through employment because you were sponsored, so then you'll be having an income. The only thing you need to do is to be money wise and be able to manage your finances, and you should be fine. So yes, the salaries are high. The salaries are very high, especially when you're going to be converting them in your head to say, okay, if this salary was back in South Africa, this is how much it would have been. They are high, but the cost of living is also high. But if you are able to manage your money well, it means the savings will also be high. So now you are no longer playing on this level, you are playing here. So you need to level up as well. You need to level up so that you're able to, get yourself settled in very well, and then start working on your financial goals, of which is something that is very important. Work on your financial goals. Don't spend too much, and don't spend what you don't have trying to impress broke people that are just as broke as you are. So you just need to make sure that you are living the life that you know that you've wanted for yourself. Save, so you can be able to buy yourself a house, buy yourself a car, and buy yourself and afford yourself trips abroad and all of that, things that you did not have access to when you were in a world that was not competing that well financially, when you're looking at traveling abroad and all of that. So now you're being given that opportunity, because now you're getting dollars, right? So you're getting dollars, and you know that if you save your money very well and you're very money wise, you will be able to then explore what is out there. So for me, how I've done it in order to adjust to everything, obviously when I was in South Africa, I was not employed, so the income that came in was obviously my husband's. Me and my husband, we have this marriage where we are transparent about money. Like, I always know what is going in and what is going out. It's always been like that. But when we got to Australia, things obviously changed, and I felt like, okay, we need a structure to see, okay, this is what we are doing with money, this is how much is coming in, and this is how much is going out. So I have this thing called Finance Tuesday. I think in one of my episodes I'll have one that is dedicated to Finance Tuesday, so that I can show you guys what I use and what I do in order to manage my finances this side. And really, honestly, it has helped me to be humbled. It has helped me to be very humbled about the dollars, because sometimes you can get very excited and then you forget, okay, calm down. Because trust me, the dollar is so strong where, with the money that you're getting, if you can save very well, you can buy certain things cash. But that is only if you are able to manage your money well and you are very money wise. After being scared and overwhelmed by how much things cost this side, I told myself one thing. I set myself down. I was like, Promise, you found Australians here living, surviving, and being okay. How did they do it? The same way they did it, you do it. When you get to Rome, you do what the Romans do. So I was like, whatever in which they are doing, I shall do it so that I can adjust. So that's the same thing that I will say to you guys. There are people who are here who are managing the dollar very well, and some of them are even using it to enhance their lives. You do what they do. Simple. You are gonna have to sometimes start from the bottom. And even with your lifestyle and the way in which you were living, when you start, it's because I'm telling you guys, the rent to the dollar, there's this big gap. You might start literally from the bottom, where now you were a homeowner wherever you were coming from. Now you're going to have to rent for the longest of time, deal with renting, painful, painful, but you're going to have to rent. And sometimes the house that you're renting is not to the standard of the house that you were living in wherever you were. And you're going to have to come to terms with that. You just need to assess, okay, this is something that I'm comfortable with, this is something that I'm not comfortable with. Sometimes in the beginning, you might have to downgrade your cars and all of that. I'll have a discussion with you guys when I go into it, But I just want you to keep it in mind that do expect to downgrade in the beginning. It's going to be hard for you to adjust because, as I said, you're going to have to adjust to the whole how the dollar works and all of that and what to buy. Things are going to look expensive and feel expensive in the beginning because obviously you're starting from zero. You don't have much in your account. You don't have much financial security and all of that. So you are going to feel it. But when it burns and when it is difficult, don't just give up and say, okay, that's it. I want to go back home now because it's not as I thought it would be. Like, the cost of living here is too high. That's how it is in the beginning. You literally start from the bottom. And thinking about it, it's supposed to be that way. It is normal for you to start from the bottom because unless your parents were rich or you were rich wherever you were coming from and you came here, and when you were converting your money that you, wherever you were, let's say, example, you were from South Africa, you were a millionaire in South Africa, you had 2 million in your bank account, 2 million rands. When you come to Australia, it is 200,000. It will not even buy you a block of land. That's number one. I will start there. So you need to adjust that mentality of, I'm no longer a millionaire. When I come here, you're going to have to downgrade, start from literally the bottom. Wherever you land, wherever your bottom is going to be, that's where you're going to start. But don't give up. You just need to find a way to pick yourself up and then get to where you need to get. We started from the bottom, bruh. We started from the bottom. But if you know what God has promised you and you know all the agreements that you have with your ancestor, you will trust in the process. If you know the Australian history, you will know that the basis of this country in Australia, when you don't talk about Aboriginal people that were found here, the basis of it being now a first world country and all of that is heavily dependent on immigrants. So immigrants have been doing this for years, for decades, and they managed to do it. So now you are just going to be joining the train, and the train is going to be continuing and going as it has been going. So you just need to catch up. That's how you adjust. Be flexible, be able to adjust. Do not freak out and don't be too excited when you get your first paycheck, because yeah, it's exciting. When you're like, hey, to the rent, to the dollar. This is, and you think this is somebody's salary for a whole year. I'm joking. But honestly, like, the salary will excite you. The cost of living will hit you hard because yes, you have to adjust, but it's just part of the process. It's part of how things are. So my advice to you guys is very simple. The next coming weeks, when we're going to be talking about the expenses, take it with a pinch of salt and some vodka. Sometimes you might have to drink water and oros, whatever that will calm your nerves, because you'll be like, in my name gaga. But we made it, so it means that you can also make it. So don't you worry, you will be able to manage. We have managed, everybody has managed. You're going to be fine. So yes, that's it from me this week. I'll see you again next week when we start talking real numbers now. So this was just an introduction. Okay guys, take care of yourself and have a good week ahead. I'll see you again next week.